YouTube, you just made your worst decision yet. I cannot believe after everyone telling you not to do this, you decide to do it anyways. So yeah, in case you guys don't realize what's going on, YouTube has announced they are officially removing the dislike button. Well, sort of. So anyways, welcome everyone to yet another just basic video of me talking about my opinions, and today we're talking about the YouTube dislike button, and this is something I am genuinely upset about and very disappointed on to YouTube. So recently, YouTube was experimenting something about trying to remove the dislike button number, or really just making the dislike number private towards the viewers. So really only the creator knows how many dislikes they have. This was sort of made as a way to, as from YouTube's perspective, prevent dislike campaigns, which, never happened. The only time that I really saw a dislike campaign was YouTube Rewind 2018, which deserved the dislikes because YouTube was just using that to cover up all the stuff they went through that year. But just recently, YouTube has announced, even though everyone and their mothers was disagreeing with this decision, is going to make the dislike button private, and that's it. You know, YouTube, for a company that constantly says they care so much about creators, especially the small creators, you really don't care about their opinions when they don't like something. Everyone says not to do it, and you still do it anyways. Do you really care about us? But YouTube made a video sort of explaining their choice, or not really explaining, more like giving their excuses to why this is a quote-unquote good idea. And I'm just going to review it real quick because I have nothing else to do. Anyways, let's watch this video that's already being ratioed to oblivion. 130,000 dislikes as of this upload, which is insane. Really comes to show that the YouTube community doesn't like this decision, man. You shouldn't have done it, but you're still going to do it anyways. So let's watch it.
Hey folks, you may have seen a while back that YouTube announced it was experimenting with making dislike counts private to only the creator of the video. Now, if you're like me, you were surprised by that.
I wouldn't say surprised, more angry and baffled that you even thought of this in the first place.
I mean, I've always thought seeing the number of dislikes on a video helps us know as viewers if it's a good video or not, if it's a helpful tutorial or not, or if what a creator is saying in their video is generally agreed with or not.
Yes, that's like the whole freaking point of the dislike button. People dislike a video because it's not a good video. Most of the time when videos get ratioed, it's because they made a terrible viewpoint. Like someone saying that 9/11 was a good thing because a lot of meat eaters died. That's a bad video and deserves all the dislikes it got.
But unfortunately, research teams at YouTube have found there's this whole other use for disliking a video that I had never experienced as a creator, and you may not have either. Apparently, groups of viewers are targeting a video's dislike button to drive up the count, turning it into something like a game with a visible scoreboard.
If that isn't the most oversighted and oversimplified and very ignorant definition of ratioing, I don't know what is. You do realize that 9 times out of 10 when a video gets mass dislikes, it's because it's a terrible video or a terrible viewpoint. The fact that you're trying to compare it to a game with a scoreboard or whatever is very ignorant. Disliking videos aren't games. They're literally just there for criticism. If a video has a ton of dislikes, that means it's a bad video. Either that or they're trolling, but most of the time it's because it's a bad video.
And it's usually just because they don't like the creator or what they stand for. That's a big problem when half of YouTube's mission is to give everyone a voice.
YouTube's mission is to give everyone a voice, coming from the same company that's removing the most basic form of criticism on the site.
So earlier in 2021, YouTube experimented with making the public dislike count private to see if it would help reduce these coordinated dislike attacks across the platform. And after analysis, they did see a reduction.
Of course your analysis saw a reduction, because your opinions are extremely biased. Forget the hundreds and thousands of people saying this is a terrible idea. 3 videos saw less dislikes after we made the dislikes private. This is essentially getting rid of net neutrality all over again.
You can still dislike videos, and that action will be used to tune your own recommendations, but you won't be able to see the dislike count. Only the creator can find it on the back end if they want.
So you're making the dislike number private to protect creators from dislike attacks, and yet they can still see the amount of dislikes. That changes nothing! Either way, they'll still be able to see how many people dislike their videos. So now, the only person that's allowed to see the amount of dislikes is the one person you're claiming to protect from dislike attacks. Come on, YouTube, stop being so hypocritical.
They can see it if they look for it inside Studio Analytics under the Engagement tab. But overall, it's much less likely to cause stress and embarrassment if the count isn't visible to the public.
Are you sure you were a creator? Or were you just paid to tell people you were? Okay, I know more than these people do. I've been on this site for over 12 years. And when I saw a video that got tons of dislikes, it didn't give me stress or embarrassment. No, you know what that told me? Okay, this didn't work out. I'm going to either improve or try something else. That's how the dislike button works. And the fact you're hiding that just basic form of criticism way in the corner under a bunch of blankets so that no one's allowed to see it unless they have tough enough skin to do it is just pitiful. That's like if Amazon removed the rating system on all their products. Instead, you had to buy the product first, go to your billing address, do a bunch of CAPTCHA, then and only then are you able to see the ratings.
One more common question, is this because YouTube Rewind got lots of dislikes? No.
I think that's the big reason why. It's not a coincidence at all that YouTube pitched this idea initially in early 2019, just after their disastrous rewind of 2018. So yeah, it was the rewind.
Now, this again is about protecting all creators and making sure they have a chance to succeed and feel safe in doing so.
Protect the creators. YouTube, you are just so full of... We all know what you're trying to do. You're trying to protect corporate channels. This has absolutely nothing to do with independent creators. These are for the big corporations, because that's all you listen to. We've noticed the patterns throughout the years that you do not care about any problems on your site until you start losing ad revenue. The moment you notice that big businesses are pulling their ad dollars from their sites, oh, by magical pixie dust and unicorn tears, the problem's solved. And everybody knows that. You guys remember ElsaGate and the fact that they were going all over kids' channels, being extremely explicit, and YouTube did nothing about it until a bunch of companies started pulling their ads? Weird, huh? It's because YouTube only cares about the money they get from their ad supporters.
So that's the update. I hope it doesn't cause too much frustration.
Frustration's an understatement.
Honestly, I think you're going to get used to it pretty quickly, and keep in mind other platforms don't even have a dislike button.
Reddit. Also, Twitter was sort of experimenting with that a while back. Either way, claiming that the dislike button isn't a good idea because no one else does it is a terrible excuse. Not to mention, YouTube is a place that can make anyone a lot of money. So essentially, YouTube can be a business if you put your mind to it and get enough success. And you can't find that success without criticism. And that's what the dislike button is for. You can't make profit off of Twitter by just tweeting. That's not possible. So yeah, that's sort of the explanation that YouTube gave out. So anyways, here's my explanation on why removing the dislike button is going to be an overall net negative for the site. Number one, scams are going to be a lot more widespread without consequence. Keep in mind, this is YouTube. There are a lot of scam videos on this site. Like, oh, get free V-Bucks by taking this survey. It'll ask for your social security number, but you don't need to worry. You get 1,000,000 V-Bucks. And thus, removing the dislike button is going to make these scams far more widespread. And before anyone says, oh, but the comments could say it's a scam, keep in mind, creators can blacklist words and personally remove comments that don't agree with them. The creators can't control the dislikes, but they can definitely control the comments, which is just easy censorship for a squeaky clean comment threads with no opposing viewpoints, because that's definitely what we need. Number two, Tutorials are going to be a complete dice roll now, whether they're going to be helpful or not. I like how he mentioned this in his sort of explanation on why the dislike button needs to be removed. However, that's going to be a bigger problem than it is on paper. I don't think YouTube realizes how much hundreds upon thousands upon millions of people rely on YouTube tutorials every single day. And the best way to find out which ones are the most helpful is looking at the like to dislike ratio. If a video has more likes than dislikes, then it's a helpful tutorial. But now that nobody knows what the dislikes are, no one's going to know if a tutorial is helpful or not. Or if it's outdated. Nobody will know that. And lastly, and this is probably the biggest, most important thing that I think is the reason why I think the YouTube dislike button being removed is going to be absolutely terrible. It's going to prevent new creators from improving and learning what works. Remember when YouTube said they're going to make the dislike number in the analytics section? Most new creators don't even know what that is. As a matter of fact, the analytics section is completely pointless until you get about 1,000 subscribers or so. So putting such a basic form of knowing how well your videos are by the like to dislike ratio, and like I mentioned before, putting it way in the corner where no new creators are going to be able to see it until much later down the road is going to be terrible for their content. They're going to be completely oblivious to whether their content is good or not, and thus, if their content is bad, they aren't going to know and keep making the bad content. Then less people will view it, then they'll get discouraged and quit. Hey, YouTube, I thought you were pro small creators. Or are you just saying that to make everyone feel inclusive in your horrible choices? People won't know how to improve if they don't know they can. And that's what the dislike button is there for. People dislike videos they don't like. And if a content creator sees that they don't like it, they will either ignore it like most people would, or they use it to improve their content. And without the dislike button, YouTube, get ready for the lowest quality, lowest common denominator, and absolute worst videos we have ever seen on your site. It's about to get terrible. So yes, that's my opinion about removing the dislike button. In case you weren't aware, I am absolutely against this decision, but it's not like YouTube's going to listen to me. I'm not some major multi-billion-dollar corporation, so they don't care about me. I'm just a content creator. I thought YouTube cared about me, but it turns out they don't. What does my opinions matter? Why am I even making this video? I'm just talking to a brick wall at this point. I love this site. Content creators constantly get beaten to the ground for no reason, but at least we get a participation trophy. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Good night, everyone.